everybody, it's Paula. Welcome back to my channel, Stitching in High Heels, my corner of the internet where I talk about cross-stitch and all of my other crafting adventures. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you see something that you like and that you'll stay for a while. If you're a returning friend, welcome back. I'm so glad you're back here. Today is Sunday, February 22nd. I'm here in upstate New York in the Catskills area. Anyone who's been watching any of the weather-related news knows that there is a major winter storm that they're actually considering to reach blizzard proportions heading for the Northeast. Up until about 5 minutes ago, my area did not have a blizzard warning. We just got one, although we're still projected to get snow totals on the lower end of our predicted range, which is somewhere between 7 inches and 18. I'm hoping for 7. I know it's normal for us to get snow up here in New York State, but enough is enough. Some of our other friends are going to get hit a lot worse. Anyone in New York City, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Eastern Massachusetts, Boston, please stay safe, everybody. You guys are going to get a lot more than we are. And I know Laura from Stitching by the Shore, I know down in Delaware they're going to get some ugly weather too and some flooding. So hopefully she's not horribly impacted. So, I will also say I do know that I missed an episode 2 weeks ago, but we were having other types of winter weather here. It was very, very cold and very, very windy. And the room that I use as my craft room and where I record my videos is pretty much the coldest room in the house, and it was just uncomfortable, and I didn't want to do it. So I was thinking of you all, but this just gives us more stuff to talk about, right? So it has been a month, so that gives me several projects to talk to you about. I do have notes over here, so if I'm looking to my right, that's what that's about. I'm also trying to film this without my ring light, so you don't see, you know, the glare in my glasses and off my pieces. I do know that window behind me is kind of making things a little weird, but I can't get it completely out of the frame, so hopefully we'll be able to work with it and get through this. So since I do have more to show, I'm going to jump right in. That looks a little better, and we don't have the glare from the window. So let's give this a try. Thanks for your patience. Like I said, I do have notes over here if you see me looking. Also, my throat's a little scratchy just from dry with, you know, forced air heat running. So I will, from occasion, time to time, take a sip. So I've got some finishes to show. I don't have anything that's FFO'd. I had wanted to, but again, it was just so cold up here for like a week. I didn't spend a lot of time in my craft room, and so I didn't get anything FFO'd. But I do have several finishes to share with you. The first one is one that I know we talked about the last time we were together, because all I had to do on him was the beads. And this is Joseph by Mill Hill. Let's see if that'll focus. There we go. He is stitched from a Mill Hill ornament kit using all of the materials, which is DMC thread and Mill Hill beads, the 14 count perforated paper, 2 threads over 1 square. So there's Joseph, and he's all done now. I have to put him back in the packaging to keep him safe until I get him finished. I might do him fairly quickly since those are pretty easy and quick finishes, just to get some finishes knocked out, FFOs knocked out. And then I also finished, I think we talked about this the last time we were together, how close it was. This is Winter's Cardinal by the Stitch Crypt. Let's see. There we go. He's a little blurry. Not sure how the focusing on this camera works. But there he is. He is stitched with all of the called for DMC on 32 count Belfast linen in the color Whirlpool by Picture This Plus. A piece I don't know if they still make this color. This is a piece I had from quite a while ago when I was in their Fabric of the Month Club. And stitched as charted. The only thing I did add, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to see that, I did add blending filament to the snow and the ice, just for a little bit of sparkle. And in person you can see that. But cardinals are some of my favorite birds, and I really love how this came out. There are a lot of color changes. Helen D. brought it up when she mentioned this. Yeah, there's quite a lengthy floss list, but I mean, really, looking at the result, it was so worth it. It was a fun stitch, and it wasn't really confetti heavy, just a lot of different colors to make this the really realistic look in it. So, not sure what I'll do with that, but possibly make it a stand-up or a flat fold. But I'm very happy with having that finished. And then my first Whip Go call of the month. So this one is a start and a finish. This was my first Whip Go call of the month. It was Baby Slept by Shepherd's Bush Needleworks. Yeah, we need a better camera here, Paula. But here is the piece. It's stitched with the called for threads. I think I bought all the threads when these were coming out. This one is from, I believe, the 2007 Just Cross Stitch ornament issue. There was a whole series of these ornaments that tell the Christmas story. I think they started in 2000 and went through 2007. So I had bought the colors, stitched with the called for threads, over 2 threads on a piece of antique buttercream even weave from Silk Weaver. This is a really old piece of fabric. And all of these ornaments call for a charm. If you know Shepherd's Bush, you know that they like to use little charms. Like this one was supposed to have a moon up in here. I'm not going to purchase the charms if they're still available. I'm going to just see what I can do to fill it in. So like this one, I just put extra stars in that area. So that was one Whip Go call finished. And let's see. So I'm going to kind of skip back and forth here because those of you who have been here before, you do know that I've been talking about I really wanted to learn to knit socks this year. So as a warm-up project, it's been quite a while since I did any kind of knitting. I've tried several times in the past, and usually what ends up happening is, you know, I jump into something like a sweater. I mean, you guys have seen my stitch pieces. Most of them are big. You know, I like really big projects. And I would get bored halfway through. I also found that using straight knitting needles was very, very frustrating to me, but a friend of mine helped me out with that. She said, you know, you can use circular needles and just knit flat. So that helped, but I still would always get bored about halfway through the front or back of any of the sweaters that I attempted. So I put it down for quite a while and didn't do anything. And as a warm-up for learning to knit socks, I had picked up a beginner book in, I believe it's Hobby Lobby, and I don't have the name of it here. I wouldn't really recommend it. It says it's a step-by-step beginner book, but there were a few things like it said knit the cuff in knit 2, purl 2 ribbing. Didn't explain how to knit that. Fortunately, I've knitted before and I did know how to do it. But my first project was this set of fingerless gloves, and you can see them here. So these are knit with a light worsted weight yarn from Hobby Lobby. I forget what the name of it's the Hobby Lobby brand, and I forget what the color name is. But I knitted these. I've actually been using them. They've been helping when I've been working from home. You know, just when you have to type, but your hands are a little bit cold. And my husband is coming home. I apologize if you hear my dogs. They're downstairs, I'm upstairs, so I'm hoping we can get through this without too much disturbance. But these were also a finish. I have a pair of them. I really like them. They're real pretty berry colors, like a raspberry and a purple. So I enjoyed that. I do have to say that the finishing instructions were good in this book, but I have used several YouTube tutorials for different things. And I would link them, or tell you about them, but I don't remember them. I can link them below. They're from a few different makers. And then, once I finished that, I did go ahead and cast on for my first sock. Some folks highly recommended the Crazy Sock Lady, her vanilla sock pattern and tutorials. and that is what I had used. Although I did read, going down the rabbit hole about knitting, as one often does when one finds something new. I did read an opinion that when somebody knits a first pair of socks, especially if they're a beginner, it might be better for them to work on a heavier weight yarn, like a DK weight yarn, because the needles are a little bigger, there's not as many stitches, it goes a little faster, gives you that sense of accomplishment. So I took that to heart, and Crazy Sock Lady also has a DK weight vanilla sock pattern. And vanilla sock just means it's a basic sock in a basic stitch. So I chose to do that, and I finished one this morning, so here it is. I don't have sock blockers, so you'll have to deal with me holding it. But I'm really pleased with how it came out. It does actually fit. It looks like a sock. I just think the heel, I'm really pleased with how that all came out. So I did cast on the other one this morning, so there's another start. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this came out. This is a DK weight yarn from Hobby Lobby. It is their Baby Bee, and it's in the color Sapphire Espresso, and it's a 60% acrylic, 40% polyamide or nylon type material. Everything I read, it said it's better to get some nylon in the yarn that you're using to make socks. They'll wear better. And I know most people use wool for knitting socks, but I wanted something that was not incredibly expensive in case I hated this, didn't finish it, whatever. But one is done, and I did cast on for the other one. Looks good, it fits. Crazy Sock Lady, I will link her channel below. She does have a bunch of tutorials. She has a set of patterns on Ravelry for her vanilla socks, which come with the instructions to knit in several ways. I used circular needles for mine. So I'm very pleased with that. That's a finish. I don't see this becoming a knitting channel, but we probably will see a little bit more knitting content now and then. So I hope you guys don't mind. Today I'm just going to kind of interweave it with everything else that I've done because there's not a lot. I will tell you what I've been doing, but I don't have a lot to show. So then, if you guys have been here before, you know that I loaded all of my whips or works in progress onto a decision wheel, and I'm spinning that once a week and working on the project that comes up because I really want to touch all of my whips this year. I am allowing myself to start whatever I want when I want to, other than my whip go pieces right now. I haven't been starting anything, which is fine, well, aside from knitting, but we'll see how things go. So, the whip that came up, I think we talked about it in my last video because I'm deciding what I want to do with the border on this one. So the one that came up that I was going to be working on when we were done is Elizabeth Isles, by the Scarlet Letter, Elizabeth Isles, $17.99, and there it is. And I know we talked about, and there is still a little bit of glare, I know we talked about the fact that I'm only stitching this top part, and I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the border. And I decided, because I have a lot of the border around it stitched, so I'm going to do this border with the cherubs around 3 sides. I'm going to finish stitching this middle section that I want, these borders here that I want to stitch, and if I want to put my name and location in there, I'll get all that done, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to adapt the border to fit. But I'm only doing the cherubs around 3 sides. A lot of you thought that was a good idea, and I kind of agreed. So I did get quite a bit done on this one. This is being stitched on a piece of 30 count hemp-based even weave by Jackson Fiber Arts on Etsy. I will link her below. This is the color London Fog. I'm stitching it 2/2, and I'm using the Roxy Flossco floss pack for this piece. It's a conversion. So here's the whole piece, and this is what I worked on. I'll show you it's on both sides, but I worked on these flowers here. So this one I do. Sorry guys, I'm not I'm having trouble getting this all in the frame here. A little different setup than usual with having things moved. So here we are. So I did all of these. I had this big flower pretty much done, so I worked on all of these, brought the stem down here. There's a really pretty bright blue pot down here for both of these. So that's finished. You can see there's some light pink in those little buds there. And then I came back over to this side and I did finish off everything on this side as well. So unfortunately that fabric's blowing out. It's a real pretty pinky brown and gray, kind of a muddy antique looking fabric. I really like it for this piece. So that is Elizabeth Isles and where I got to with that. I always enjoy it when I pull that piece out. I just, for some reason, don't think to pull it out more often. And then the next WIP I pulled after that, spun after that, was Perfect World, which is by the Scarlet House. I know you guys have seen this. Lots of folks have stitched this. I just love that black band down in the bottom. And the verse on this says, "In a perfect world you would find me here with the birds and the flowers and the dogs and the deer." And I'm doing this as a memorial sampler for my dad because that phrase fits him just perfectly and how he thought about things. And I've got a couple needles with some thread in. Let me get them out of the way. So what I did was I started in the upper right, and actually I'm stitching this 1/1 on a piece of 20 count fabric by Oak Crown Studios, and I have to look up the name of it. I got this as one of her fabric of the month fabrics, but here's where we are. So I started up here in the upper right corner and I worked my way down. You can see I got a bunch of that grass done. Because I want to get to the point where I can work on that black band on the bottom and alternate with doing that with some of the motifs. So everything from this bird down was what I did. So I did those two trees and all that grass. There we go. So you can see that grass is a checkerboard pattern. That was a lot of fun to stitch. And I'm using most of the called for threads for this. For the black, I'm going to be using Silks for You PR070, and most of the cottons I have what was called for. Where I didn't, I subbed out the DMC suggestion. After that came Blue Dreams by Barbara Anna Designs, and this is what this one looks like. If you watch Stitching by the Shore with Laura, I started this with her, and she's finished hers. She chose, her fabric was more of a orangey sunset kind of look, and it looked, the blues looked just amazing on that. I had a piece of the called for, which is terracotta, and it's 32 count Lugana. So I'm using the called for fabric with the called for threads. Let me get this fabric holder out of the way. Oh, hold on. One of my magnets here is giving me a fit. And I'm using the called for DMC. It's 2/2. And so here we go. Here's what it's looking like. I worked over here on this side. I did the fish, finished off these. I was trying to get that parcel page on that side finished, and I didn't quite make it. There's going to be another blue swirl that comes down by where that fish is. He's not just hanging out all by himself. But this is, Barbara Anna's pieces are always fun to stitch, and I love the colors in it. Blues are some of my favorite colors. So the fabric is not as brown as it's looking there. It's I mean, terracotta is a pretty accurate description. It's got a little brown in it, but it's a reddish pinkish brown. Then last week, the piece that came up for my WIPs was On the 12th Day by Cat's Whiskers Designs. And this is what this is going to look like. I'm stitching this all in one piece as it's shown here on the cover. And I've struggled to find the copyright date on this. I know it's an older piece. I think it's somewhere around 2005, 2006. And initially when I was going to do this, I chose Weeks Dye Works in the color Bethlehem, and I'm stitching it on a piece of 28 count white or antique white cashel opalescent, 2/2, and the fabric I chose, the thread I chose was Weeks Dye Works in the color Bethlehem. But what I didn't realize when I picked this was how quickly the colors change. You can see it's a green and a purple and a berry color, and some of the other skeins I have a deep blue in it. It's a really pretty color combination. A little bit washed out there, but you can see it. But with how quickly the colors change, I thought these blocks, sorry guys, like this one here where you stitch the background, I just thought they would be too busy and they would just distract. You wouldn't be able to see what the design was. So what I'm doing for those blocks is I picked 3 different DMC colors that match the thread. 550, 522, 550 is purple, 522 is a green, and I think 34 or 35, which is this berry color. And I'm going to stitch those alternating blocks in a solid color, stitch the border in the variegated fabric. So I stitched this block down here and called it good for the week. Really didn't take me that long, but I really wanted to get started on my knitting, which I did. So that's where I'm at with that. I think I got some good progress. I'm happy with what I did. And then we're going to get into, so that's my whips. Now, well, almost all my whips. I've got one more here. Sorry, things are a little out of order. So this, my last one is Pretty Little Chicago by Satsuma Street. This is what this is going to look like. And I'm so close to a finish. I had hoped to finish it last night, but let me show it to you. I was at work, and if you can see down in here, I've got some empty spots. I was one yard of floss. When I pulled floss, I pulled 1 strand too few. So I've got just a little bit of, it'll be the same as this lighter color here. So hopefully I'll get that finished today, and then this will be a finish. This is stitched 2/1 on 16 count Aida in these Weigart color. I think it's Vintage Stormy Sky. It's one of their printed ones with the gray on it. I'm using mostly the called for DMC. I had a couple colors that I did not have, so I substituted one lighter or darker, which is the nice thing about Satsuma Street. There's not a lot of realistic shading, so it's easy to do that. Another change, these buildings here that are just background buildings, I stitched them using 1 strand to kind of make them fade just a little bit more into the background. And then I stitched the outline of the clouds up here and left it blank because I thought with the gray modeling on the fabric, I really liked how that looked. I couldn't leave the clouds off because the wind, you know, those winds going across there, Chicago being the windy city, I felt like I had to leave that in. But I just didn't, the clouds are supposed to be filled in with white, and I like the way this looked better. So hopefully by the end of the NASCAR race today, I will have this finished. And then I did have one other start, which is my other Whip Go call, and that is Turtle Doves by Satsuma Street. And I bought this as a kit, and I'm using all of the kit materials. So it's DMC, perforated paper, and there'll be beads and sequins on it. And it's finished except for the beads and sequins, and that's crooked. So hopefully I'll have that finished. Maybe I'll have a chance to finish that tonight. I won't do that during the race because if I get excited, things will go flying. My husband and my dogs will tell you it's entirely likely that I will get a little excited. But I really like how that's looking, and that will definitely be a finish before we get together again. All right, so let me just look at my notes here quick and see what I plan to talk to you guys about. Okay, so, in my other start, I did cast on a second pair of socks. Hold on, let me grab it. to have in my travel bag for work. And I'm doing this with a fingering weight yarn. This is the yarn. It's supposed to be like a self-striping yarn. I got this in Hobby Lobby a while ago when I decided I wanted to learn how to knit socks. I believe it was on a clearance, and it is Yarn Bee Cozy Toes in the colorway All for Alabaster. I don't know if you can see. I think this is what the patterning is supposed to come up like. So we'll see. I only got about 5 rows of the cuff knit last night. It's knit with smaller needles and everything, and I see why the person made a very good suggestion about doing your first pair of socks in a DK weight. But I did get it started, and this will be easy to keep in my. I'm using again the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla sock pattern. It'll be easy to keep in my travel bag and be something that I can work on. So I did have a little bit of haul this time. I did buy this bag to keep my travel sock project in. Just enough. It said it was enough for a single ball of yarn and a set of needles, and that's accurate. So pretty fabric. Kind of matches my portfolio that I keep my travel cross stitch projects in, and it's by Twice Sheared Sheep. I bought it at Thread the Needle Stitchery in Greenville, Tennessee. Once I move to Tennessee, that will most likely be my local needlework shop. Their customer service is great. I ordered this and it was shipped out the same day. I got a friendly little note in thanking me for my order and for supporting their family-based business. I know Janet from Janet Jabber has talked about them. She's friends with Leslie, the owner, and I can't wait to get down there, be moved down there, and first of all, get out of the snow and the cold, right? And second of all, be able to meet Leslie. I'll be about an hour from the shop. That's probably a safe distance for me because I won't be running down the street every other day. But yeah, I look forward to having a shop within a reasonable driving distance again. It's been a while since I had that. And then the other piece of haul that I got was, we had talked about this, I believe. I got another piece of Oh John in 20 count Aida from Grace Notes Fabrics. And this is for my Seasons in the Garden, the 4 pieces I'm doing on one piece by Nora Corbett. I struggled to fit it. I thought a half yard would be big enough, and I just couldn't get it to fit on there with the margin I was comfortable with. So I purchased a full yard. I should have quite a bit left over, and then I've got that other piece. It's a beautiful color. So I'll have another piece for another big project. Maybe one of the Hawk Run Hollow pieces would go on that. We'll see. But that's a good thing to have in my stash. And hopefully that'll be the only exception to my no-buy year. I've been tempted by the Autumn Lane Stitchery Mermaid that is coming out for National Needlework Market. But I have a ton of mermaids from them already that I got for the Queen City Stitch Retreat when they were the featured artist. So I can go ahead and just start one of them and keep the new one on my wish list because she's gorgeous. And then I did have a piece of Happy Mail. My birthday was February 3rd, and I got this beautiful card from my friend Melissa, who I met at the Queen City Stitch Retreat. So it's handmade. It says, "Life is better when you're crafting." So she did make this. I love it. And she also sent me some wax melts. In addition to sharing a table, she was my exchange partner at the very first Queen City Stitch Retreat, the first Mirabilia one. And one of the things that we included in our exchange package was something from where we live. And Melissa lives in Georgia. And she included these soy wax melts. I believe it's Georgia Okra Girl is the maker. And it's Miss Georgia Peach. And it's such a beautiful summery fragrance. And it's not... You know how fruit fragrances sometimes can be artificial and just too sweet. This is perfect. I love this. And I had talked about it when we were at the retreat last October and told her I was running out. So she kindly, as a birthday gift, sent me a couple packages of those. So thank you very much, Melissa. I love the card. I love the wax melts. I'm looking forward to using them and thinking about summer as the snow flies. It is snowing here right now, but it's kind of that snow right now that looks like a snow globe, so it's kind of pretty, except that I've had enough for this year, so I'm done. I'm over it. I will stop. Sorry, guys. Hopefully I cut that out. I will stop complaining about the snow. All right. So the only thing I have left, I mean, this should still be a fairly quick video. The only thing I have left to talk about with you guys is plans. So I will finish Pretty Little Chicago today. I hope to finish Turtle Doves either today or tomorrow. My wheel spin for this week was Edith Wolford by The Silver Lining, Mark Sostot. And I'm not a big Iris fan, but I love the way Mark works with colors. Man, what a tickle. And I really wanted to see what colors he would include in this to make the flower work. Because I knew it wasn't going to be as simple as yellow, blue, and purple. And I had put her down for quite a while, and now I've pulled her back out. I worked on her some last year. Can't wait to work on her again this year. But here's where I'm at. I did a lot of this over here, a lot of this dark purple down there last year. Not sure what I'm going to work on this year, but I'm going to pull her out. I seem to have put all of the threads away for it, so I think I'll pick one or two colors and just pull them out and work on it. So we should have some progress on her next time. And then on the 25th, Jessie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff, who is the creator of WhipGo and the manager of WhipGo, and she pulls the numbers each month. If you're not familiar, my apologies. I shouldn't be explaining it this late in the video. It's a bingo style game, and every month Jessie Marie pulls two numbers, and we have filled out a bingo square or bingo style board, and the squares can be anything you want. I have ornaments I'm doing ornaments on mine because I have a bunch of ornament kits and a bunch of ornaments that I want to stitch, and this gets me stitching them. Other people put projects on theirs that they want finished, so they'll put them on several times and work on it each time they get called. Some people put new starts. I know some people have put things like work on a project with a certain color, so that they don't feel like they're being told what they have to work on. Some people have included things like organize their floss or clean up their craft room. So your board, your rules is what Jessie Marie says. So like I said, I am doing ornaments. So on the 25th, we will find out what ornaments I'll be stitching for next month. And I'll work on Edith Wolford for a little bit. Who knows what else I'll get up to. I'm going to keep working on at least the sock to match the one that I finished, so that I have a pair. Oh, and by the way, I don't remember if I said I did try it on. It does fit. I'm excited about that. So yeah, I'd like to get an actual finished pair of socks. Other than that, I'm not sure what's going on. We may have some exciting news in our house. I'm not ready to share it yet because I don't want to jinx anything. But I think we're going to have some big news, which may affect my crafting time for the short term, but it'll be so worth it in the long term. So stay tuned. Hopefully should have some news for you guys the next time we visit. Other than that, stay safe, stay warm. If you're in the southern hemisphere, stay cool. I know it's the time of year when you guys are much warmer than we are. And keep working on what you enjoy working on. Take some time for you, and don't feel guilty about it. See you soon. Love you. Bye.